Raising the Bets is brought to you by the Star Quest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to Raising the Bets, a family podcast of pirates and penguins. We're a Catholic couple raising 5 kids outside of Boston. Join us as we share the joys and challenges of marriage, homeschool, and our adventures near and far as we make sense of the world and experience the best parts of our culture. I am Don Bettinelli.
And I'm Melanie Bettinelli.
So before prayers tonight, it was kind of funny. We were talking about, what was it? Ben was saying, in books, old people are always saying, when I was young, things were better. I said, well, you'll do that too. When you're old, you're going to look back and go, when I was young, things were... And I'm like, oh, no, when you were young, it was 2020. Things will not have... Hopefully, this year will not be better than any other year in your life.
The kids all protested, yeah, but there's always before 2020. Come on.
Right. Things were better when in 2019.
2019?
No. Well, that's the thing is, from their perspective, things are good.
Yeah.
The life when you're a child, hopefully, you don't have to worry about all the stuff that adults worry about and all the bad stuff.
Yeah, I think of the 5 of them, really, Isabella's the only one who spends much time thinking about how weird the current state of affairs is.
Yeah.
She's old enough to be aware and to kind of think about it.
And she listens to us talk about the world. The world. And all the weirdness of the world. All right, so let's talk about what we've done this week.
Have we done anything this week?
Well, we had one big thing that happened this week. It was Benedict's birthday. Benedict turned 11.
Yes.
And so he's the summer birthday, besides yours, of course.
He's the summer birthday. He's the middle child.
Right. Just like my brother John. John was the summer birthday in our family. He was also he's in July. His is coming up. And he was the middle child.
I was the summer birthday, but I am not the middle child. I'm the oldest.
Could you tell? And so
what does that mean?
Nothing. So Ben, he had this kind of weird thing leading up to this birthday this year. He didn't want us to talk about it.
He wanted to kind of forget that it was coming up so he would be surprised on the day of his birthday that it was his birthday. Which this didn't
I don't know how effective that is.
I don't know.
Did he actually forget it was his birthday?
I don't think he did.
But he just didn't like anybody bringing anything up. But of course, we have to prepare. Like, what do you want for cake? What do you want to have for dinner for your birthday? Like those sorts of things. And he was okay with talking about those things, I guess. But
we just couldn't mention which day of the week it was.
Right. It's just coming up. It's next week.
Sometime.
So it was his birthday. So we opened presents in the morning, as is our custom, as we mentioned before, and we'll get up. And so what did he get? We got him his favorite present, I think, is the Baby Yoda shirt.
That might perhaps be the best present.
Oh yes, because he said because whenever anyone sees me, they'll smile.
They smile at me,
right? Which you see Baby Yoda, you're gonna smile. It's just there's no denying that. So,
and Ben, that's actually very indicative of his personality. He likes to make other people smile. He likes to make people happy. He's a people pleaser.
Yes, he is very much a people pleasing person. Yeah. So you also got him a Mandalorian shirt. Another
Actually, I think my parents got him the Mandalorian shirt.
Oh, okay. He got some wood carving tools from your parents, which I have to sharpen. He was telling me that they were.
Yeah, he said they were dull.
Yeah. So I was gonna do that today. I forgot about it. Okay, and then
he got a Mandalorian Lego set.
Yes. He got the ATST that the Klatooinian Raiders have on that planet. I forget what the name of the planet is. That it was for the old Western movie. It was a remake of For a Few Dollars More. No. No. Pocket. Gosh, what was it? It's the Clint Eastwood one where he has to stand up against the gang that's terrorizing the town.
Yeah.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
No, not The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. I knew the name of it a day ago, 2 days ago.
It wasn't A Fistful of Dollars.
Wasn't it?
Maybe it was.
Maybe it was Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean,
of.
it's a classic, setup. Fistful of
I think so.
dollars. I'm Googling, as you can hear from me typing.
Google.
Google. It is a spaghetti western starring Clint Eastwood, directed by Sergio Leone. All the great westerns are directed by Italians. And an unnamed stranger arrives at the little town of San Miguel, and there's a feud between two smuggler families vying to gain control of town. And the stranger decides to play these families against each other. No, see, that's not it. It's different. There's a different one. But no, it was. Someone will send us an email, please, and remind us what it is. Anyway,
relieve us from our misery.
So he got the Lego set, which was a big hit.
Yes,
and then we got him a Star Wars Stormtrooper water blaster, like a Super Soaker.
Yeah,
but we knew we don't have any other Super Soakers, so we knew that we can't have an imbalance of the arms, like an
imbalance of the Force,
or an imbalance of the arms race. That we have to arm everybody. So we bought 5 of them, not 5 of this. So he got the cool one, the Stormtrooper one, and then we got 4 other more generic blaster pistols,
which
like water blasters.
He actually kind of said that he liked those well enough that he might be willing to give up the Star Wars Stormtrooper one occasionally to.
Oh, that's funny. We did set a rule that if he's letting anyone else use, they're all his to use. Okay, they're his present. But if he lets any of his brother and sisters play with them, everyone has to be able to play. You can't exclude anyone.
Right, because that's just sort of basic fairness.
Right, and that's why we bought 5 of them. It would sort of defeat the purpose to allow him to exclude anyone for any reason. So,
I don't think he
wouldn't normally. Like, once in a while, somebody may be annoying him, and he's going to say, "No, I don't want you to play." But you got to deal with it, So, then some books, of course.
Yeah, lots of books,
including the David Macaulay book, which was really cool. David Macaulay's the guy who's the illustrator who shows how things were built, like a castle, or tells a story of a generic castle being built, or a cathedral, or various things. So yes. One of my favorites when I was a kid.
So this is a compilation of 3 cathedral, castle, and mosque. Which
I never saw a mosque.
Yeah,
it must be newer than
it's newer one, and these are redone and colorized and with new pictures added and things.
Yeah.
So we have the classics, city, cathedral, castle, etc.
But this is sort of an updated version.
This is new and different.
Cool.
And it has mosque, which we don't have. So
yeah. I would have to read that. Actually,
I also got him some audiobooks.
Yeah.
Including the first Harry Potter, which he's very excited about.
Is it the
I got
the American version or the British version?
I got the British one, The Sorcerer's Stone, with a British narrator.
What's his name? The famous actor, Jeeves in Worcester.
Is it? I don't think so.
Yes. I'm going to be Googling a lot in this today's show.
You're thinking of
Stephen Fry.
I don't think it's Stephen Fry.
Oh, because then it's the other one, Jim Dale.
I don't think so.
I think there's only 2 different audiobook versions of Harry Potter.
I don't know. I got the one that was on Audible. I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably Jim Dale.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, folks, we're way off today. So and then you got a bunch of other stuff. Is there anything other notable?
No. So the one notable thing was he wanted a fancy cake. So usually for my birthday,
cake, yes.
Usually for my birthday, we go to the fancy German bakery, or Dom goes to the fancy German bakery and gets the super fancy cake.
Konditormeister is the name of the bakery.
Yeah. German is in the guy who, the baker who founded is from Germany.
Yeah. We talked about this last year, but we probably have people who didn't hear when we talked about it. Yeah.
Anyway, but I sort of decided that I might want something different. But Ben is really, really attached to the Konditormeister cakes. And not only that, but he was baptized on my birthday, so we've always sort of considered it as a sort of joint birthday baptism day cake.
Because we celebrate our baptism days.
Pretty much,
yeah.
They're celebrated like birthdays. So anyway, I told him that if I didn't get it, he could get the Konditormeister cake for his birthday, and he was very thrilled about that. And so,
right.
He actually went to the bakery with me to pick out a cake, and I think this might be the first time he set foot in a store. since
the lockdown.
Well, but even before that, I mean, January or February or who knows when. I mean, he's So
wearing a mask has been an issue for him. So out in public. So this was a big step for him to be able to wear a mask to go any place. That's cool. That's good. And the cake was awesome.
It was a really good cake.
It was a Kaffeemeister cake. So yes, it was awesome. And then
it was chocolate with an Oreo cream filling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then our tradition is to go out. The child gets to pick what they want. What they want for dinner. If we go out to dinner or something like that. And of course we can't do that nowadays. But he wanted to do what Bella did for her birthday, which was order from Bertucci's, which is the local Italian chain. Yeah. And so that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, we got pizza and
the pizza was frankly. It's better at the restaurant.
Yeah, when it's right out of the oven.
Yeah. I actually would have probably preferred corner pizza over there, but I got a shrimp scampi, which was really good.
And I split some salmon with Lucy.
Yeah, and Bella got a fettuccine alfredo. So that was good. That was good.
It's funny because she's recently discovered fettuccine alfredo, and it's the thing she orders every time we get Italian.
Mm-hmm.
At the exact same age, I made the same discovery. I found fettuccine alfredo when I was about 13 or 14, fell in love with it and started ordering it every time we went out. And it was like this revelation, like you can get pasta with a white creamy sauce as opposed to a red sauce.
But I think actually she started ordering it because you said that. Like you said, oh, when I was about your age, I discovered fettuccine alfredo. And so she decided to try it. And now she's hooked on it.
She doesn't really like red sauce.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's just kind of funny. Like, yeah.
I mean, Anthony... I'd suggested Anthony, except he doesn't like cheese either.
He doesn't. No.
Strange child. I mean, he likes cheese in certain things, but yeah, just strange.
He doesn't really like cheese.
Not on pasta. So, so that was Ben's birthday. It worked out well. And then, so then, what else happened? Oh, then what happened this week was so that was the good stuff this week. Then there was the bad, where our 12-year-old dryer has finally died. It's been going for a while. It's been squeaking like anything, which
and eating clothes.
Yeah, the drum is warped, so clothes would get stuck in the gap between the drum and the door, essentially that little space, and like it ripping zippers off and buttons off of things. It's been we've really needed to replace for a while. We've been putting it off, but it finally just stopped.
It stopped drying.
Yeah, stopped heating up and drying. So not much you can do with that. So we've gone the pioneer route, and I've strung clotheslines all over the yard, and we've got a little. It's like a ship's pennant. Actually, it would be we should have put up a mast and hung it from the clothes from like signal flags. So yeah, there are clotheslines all over the yard. Luckily, it's been both sunny and hot.
Yes.
In the winter, this wouldn't. We would have been carting them off to the laundromat.
Yeah, which is my least favorite thing to do. I hate laundromats.
Yeah, but the amount of clothes that we have, so now's when we find out how long we can go with minimal washing of clothes. We ordered a new one, and it'll be here in a few days, so we'll have been a week without it. And gosh, it just takes me back to those days in college where I had to. There was one apartment I lived in for 2 years that didn't have a laundry in the basement. I lived in 2 different apartments in Steubenville, and the first one didn't have laundry on site. So every week or so I had to go to the laundromat, do all my laundry.
I've never lived in a place that didn't at least have a laundry room.
Really?
In the apartment complex.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Like in Texas, a lot of times you have the laundry room that's like in a sort of central area surrounded by apartments, and so you like.
Well, that's an apartment complex. That's the thing. You've only lived in apartment complexes,
right?
Not in apartment buildings. Although, well, the apartment in Salem you lived in had laundry in the basement.
We had laundry in the basement.
Yeah,
and our apartment in Peabody had laundry in the basement. So I've never lived in a place where I had to go to the laundromat to do laundry.
Right? Yeah,
I'm spoiled.
You've lucked out.
Yeah.
The joys. I mean, that moment where you get comfortable enough to just leave your clothes and like go home or something and then come back for them later. Like you just like, there's this social compact where, clothes in a laundromat they're somewhat sacrosanct.
Right. I mean, this is the same thing. I mean, in an apartment complex, you're kind of doing that trust. Like I am going to put
people you live with.
Right. But still, I mean, they're
don't know
strangers.
everybody,
You
yeah.
don't know people.
Yeah.
And so you're sort of dropping your clothes off and hoping that they'll still be there when you come back
Yep.
in a few hours.
I'm trying to remember if anyone's ever moved my clothes. I don't think it must have happened. Where like it's sitting in the dryer waiting, and someone and the dryers are all taken and
Yeah. Well, in college, I actually lived in a co-ed dorm by floor. So girls lived on the second floor, guys lived on the first floor. And yes, we had one laundry room for everyone. And so you would like leave your clothes and you would come back and somebody would have folded them. And you were kind of hoping that it was one of the girls and not one of the guys.
No, are they folded? It wasn't one of the guys.
Oh, no, there were guys who folded clothes. There were some really gentlemanly guys in our dorm.
Wow.
No, there was a lot of really great guys. We always had our
Why didn't you marry one of them?
we had our Star Trek Next Generation night on Sunday nights, and
wow, I want to marry one of them.
It was fun. We played cards and hang out. It was kind of cool. Most of the guys I hung out with actually were juniors and seniors when I was a freshman.
So older, mature.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and they they graduated and got married and stuff, and
yeah,
I'm still friends with a lot of them.
Well, back to the drawing.
Anyway, dry. Yeah.
So, this walk down memory lane brought to you by Maytag. So it's not brought to you by Maytag. I wish we had Maytag as an advertiser. I've ordered the new one. It's going to be here. At this point we have now replaced almost all of our major appliances in the 12 years we've lived here.
What have we not replaced?
The chest freezer.
Yeah,
which we got as a hand-me-down from my brother.
Yeah, you had that like when we met.
Did I
think?
No. I didn't have that in Salem. No. When we moved here, John gave it to us.
Did he?
Yeah, because he was getting rid of it. He's like, "Hey, do you want this? We're getting rid of this."
I don't actually remember acquiring it.
Yeah. That's like when we first moved in. That's when we got it. So, but it's been there. The thing is ancient. Like I think it was old when he had it. That thing's like 25 years old, 20 years old.
It's about time for it to be replaced, and we've been talking about it.
Right.
Unfortunately, the dryer.
If the dryer hadn't happened, we might have. We're gonna go from this. It's a cube chest freezer, not like a giant chest freezer.
It's tiny.
It's the smallest kind of chest reach in down freezer that you can get. But we were talking about getting a stand up freezer. You gotta have a freezer when you have a family like this size. You gotta store stuff. And plus we make things like stock and we freeze leftover stuff. So we were talking about getting a stand up freezer. In that space, but we have to kind of rearrange the space a little because there's shelves over the chest freezer now, so we'd have to take the shelves out and move that stuff somewhere. So there's some stuff that's going to happen, but that room is going to get cleaned up this week.
Right,
the laundry room. Because,
we need to. Oh, it's a mess.
Yes, because
it's a scary mess.
The delivery guys, the installers, are going to have to get it in there.
Yeah, I think what we really need to do is just take everything out. But this
may actually be the thing that finally gets us to clean out that room.
Maybe
I say us advisedly.
Like
that chest, the locker, the trunk. The black.
I know
trunk.
that you hate that thing. With a passion.
I do. Well,
I don't understand.
Well, no, I don't hate it with a passion. I just don't want it there. Like, why is it there? It has never opened. I don't know what's in it. It is just taking up space.
It's stuff that I can't emotionally part with.
I see. Can we emotionally move it to the shed?
No, because then the mice will get into it.
What is it? Papers?
And yeah.
Okay.
And stuff.
All right. Well, can we emotionally move it to somewhere else anyway? I mean, there are places we can move it.
Like where? Okay, we don't need to hash this out now. We can move on with the show.
Pause the show. Have our discussion. I have ideas.
Okay.
You close your eyes, and when you open them, it will be somewhere else in the house. Oh, you didn't say the air quotes. In the house.
No. No.
And you will never know because you never open up the thing. So you will like I could get rid of it in the dead of night and you would never notice.
I would notice.
No, you
I
wouldn't.
would notice. I would notice right away.
At some point in the next month.
No.
We should move on before I get in trouble. So let's talk about what we were eating besides our dinner with Bertucci's or Andre. So we've been making pizza on the grill. We talked about that recently, where we use the non-pizza and we just throw it right on the grill grate. Well, I had recently, and I mentioned I had to replace the grill grate for our Weber charcoal grill with the Weber grilling system. I really need like a sound effect for that. Weber grill system. And so it's got a center thing that you like a grill bit that you take out and you can replace with various other accessories, like a cast iron pan, a wok, or in this case, a baking stone. So I wanted to give it a try. And so you bought pre-made pizza dough round, like it's baked already.
Yeah, it's the same company that makes the naan.
Yeah, it's basically the naan, just in a big pizza shape.
It's a bit thinner though. The dough it's thinner and it got crisp. It got really nicely crispy when we did it on the grill.
Well, that's one of the things that we'll mention. Yeah, it worked. It actually worked out pretty well. The stone got fairly hot. Not as hot as a real pizza oven. I mean, that's 800 degrees, 700 degrees.
That's a given.
Yeah, but for what it is, it worked well. And so I had to figure out what the best way to do it was, which was put I put oil on both sides. Then I put sauce on it and the cheese. Wait, did you cook it before you put the sauce on? I tried that. Didn't work as well.
Okay.
You do that with the grilled pizza, the non-pizza, but it didn't work well with this because it cooks. The bottom is cooking fast, so that it got overdone by the time it needs to go on and have the sauce and the cheese on it, and it worked just a couple of minutes, three minutes or so, and then pull it off. And anything that if I don't think we did basil this time, did we?
No,
because our basil was dying. That's right, our basil plants are dying.
We did not have extra basil.
Yeah, so. But yeah, so it actually I got a good workflow going, a good rhythm of getting stuff on and off and stuff. The only problem is it takes up so much space taking them off. Like you have to take it off and put it on a cooling rack on the table. But by the time I'm done making all the pizzas, because you gotta have enough pizza for everybody, the table's covered in cooling racks with the pizzas on them. So that's a bit of an issue, but that worked out really well.
We survived.
Yep. The other thing we made was you would picked up skirt steak. At a really good price at the store. They had them on clearance sale. So we made some grilled skirt steak fajitas. Did we mention this before?
What?
No, I thought we... I just had a sense that we talked about this before, but I guess
we might have. I have no idea.
Or we were going to make it, I think is what we talked about. But how was that? It was pretty good.
It was okay.
We've made fajitas before with a different kind of marinade, a much more intense marinade. It was one like it goes in a blender and like it grinds it, but I think that had peanuts in it, so I think that's why we couldn't do it this time. I'm trying to think. Where was it?
I have no idea.
I remember making it when we were in Peabody, so more than a dozen years ago.
If you remember better than I do. Then.
Yeah, so this was okay. This was a Cook's Illustrated one. Then we
I wasn't in love with it, but it
worked out. When we do the rest of the skirt steak that we get in the freezer, we'll do something different with that. We made sausages. So we had a couple different kinds of sausages. You picked up at the grocery store a Honeycrisp apple chicken sausage and a buffalo chicken sausage. Now, the buffalo chicken sausage was pretty much what you'd expect. Buffalo chicken.
Yeah.
It was all right. What did you think of the apple chicken sausage?
I used to really love apple chicken sausages and get them all the time. I mostly picked this one up because Isabella really asked. She was at the grocery store with me and she asked for me to get it. She really wanted it.
Yeah. Did she even like it?
Yeah, she ate several pieces of it.
Okay.
She liked it.
All right.
I know you don't like it. I mean, I would not have thought it.
It's not my favorite. I don't dislike it. I had some. Yeah. I enjoyed it. It's just not my favorite.
In the past, when I've got apple sausages, you've not been thrilled.
If I had a choice between that and Italian sausage, I'd like Italian sausage. I mean, that's
well, yeah,
sure.
but I get tired of Italian sausage.
I don't know. I don't even know who you are. Well, we did have Italian sausage that dinner because we had also picked up some Italian sausage from the farmer's market.
Yes.
And that was really good.
Well, yeah, their sausages are really good because they like raise their own pigs.
And they're all like free range pigs, and they're massaged in the field, and they're like they eat nuts and berries and stuff. I mean, they're real old fashioned heritage pigs. One thing I've noticed though is that the sausage is a lot looser. Like
it's not as tightly packed.
Yeah,
in the casing.
Yeah. And I don't know if I like that better. I think I kind of like it more a firmer texture.
I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, but I'm not sure. I might be okay with it. I'm not sure. Like once it's cooked, like we had it left over, and so we sliced it up and put it on the pizza.
That was really good sausage pizza, like very thin sliced.
Yes.
Italian sausage.
So once it was cooked, it was pretty like it had sat. It was firmer, I think. Yeah.
It was fine.
Okay. Then tonight we had chicken souvlaki. Souvlaki. I can't say it.
Souvlaki.
Souvlaki. Yes. I keep mixing the L and the V, which is a Greek chicken on a skewer, like more skewers. Put stuff on sticks, cook it in the fire.
Yeah, we did that plus some grilled ratatouille again.
Yes.
I kind of fell down on the souvlaki front because I didn't actually make.
Well, you made tzatziki.
I made tzatziki, but I didn't make any salad or
sides besides the ratatouille, which only you and I eat.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to make green beans, and then my brain went on vacation. I was worrying about the laundry or something.
Right.
I don't know. It was one of those nights.
Souvlaki was pretty good.
It was good.
Yeah.
I think it needed more lemon.
More, yeah. That's the one thing with the Cook's Illustrated recipes.
They're never lemony enough.
Right. They don't have it's not like there needs to be more punch very often in their sauces and marinades.
For me, for most things, I love lemon. And if you like double the amount of lemon and add some zest, that's usually starting to get close to enough lemon.
Yeah. Well, this was the zest of 2 lemons. Like I used all the zest, but it was like half of the juice, I guess. I should have used all the juice. I left some of the juice for you to use. I've got to have got more. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Definitely.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Speaking
of loving lemon, we stopped at the liquor store on the way back from the farmer's market yesterday, and I decided to pick up some limoncello. Now, limoncello, in case you don't know, is a lemon liqueur. It's an Italian lemon liqueur. And you can make it at home pretty readily. I mean, it's not the hard. It just takes time. It's the sort of thing like you need either vodka or better grain alcohol, like clear flavorless alcohol, and you steep lemon zest in it for several days, etc., etc. It's fairly easy to make. But I wanted to buy some because I don't have the time or the space to make it, and I remember having it when I was in Rome, and it's best in the summer when it's ice cold. So I stuck it in the freezer, and last night while I'm watching my movie, I got a little glass, and oh my gosh, it was so refreshing. And it gets kind of thick and syrupy when it's that cold, and it was so refreshing. And then today you made fruit smoothies.
I made smoothies for the kids, just like frozen fruit blended up. It was like watermelon, cherry, pineapple, mango,
some leftover fruit, some
strawberries,
some frozen fruit,
yeah,
like frozen bagged fruit,
and some like fruit punch,
right?
Thrown in for the liquid
fruit punch.
And the kids really liked it. It came out really nice, just as a smooth. But then I added
for you and me
some limoncello to make an adult drink, an adult smoothie,
yes, a nice frozen cocktail.
It was good.
It was really on this. It was 90 today or something like that. On this day, it was refreshing. It was really nice. So that was good. Limoncello was good. It's just, and I keep thinking of that Hamilton song. Whatever the heck you do up at Monticello, limoncello.
Mm-hmm. It needs some work.
It needs. Yeah, I know. I got to work on that. I have to drink some more limoncello. So, what we've been reading and watching, and I'll let you go first this time. So, what you've been reading a new book?
I've been reading a book.
Special new book. Because we know the author.
This is by a book by our friend Brendan Hodge. It's his first published book. Now,
it's called
If You Can Get It.
It's published by Ignatius Press.
Yes, and it's just out this week. I actually got a preview copy, but then I bought it as soon as it came out. So support my friends. He originally wrote this as a serialized novel on his blog. He wrote it during National Novel Writing Month several years ago. Probably more than several years ago. And I read it as he every day posted what he'd written the night before. And I liked it. And this now reading it again, of course, he's done a lot of work editing and polishing, and it's better than it was even then. And I'm really enjoying it very much. It's kind of hard to describe.
Chicklet.
No, it's not really chicklet. Okay, it's if you count the fact that it's a story about two sisters, then I suppose that makes it chicklet because the protagonists are women.
Well, and part of it too is it's not about any like big event. It's about their life. It's
right. So the main character, Jen, is a high-powered business person. As the novel opens, she's a product line manager. She's got a new product launch in the works. And then the day that her product is supposed to launch, the company is acquired by another company and she's laid off.
Right. It's acquired by Apple.
Right.
Yeah.
So her victory is just snatched away from her. And then she gets into kind of a funk because she's out of work. Then her younger sister, who's 10 years younger, shows up at her doorstep saying, I can't get along with mom and dad. I'm moving out. I've moved out. Can I stay with you? So then she goes on to several different other jobs. One that's a disaster that ends up with her in China for 7 weeks. As soon as she's hired, and she quits that one because it's miserable. And then she ends up moving away from the coast to.
Yeah, I just want to avoid too many spoilers.
Oh, it's too spoilers. I'm sorry, I'm like spoiling it totally. Anyway, so it's about their relationship. Sort of about like changing life directions. Like, what do you do when you're,
Well, I was joking when I said chicklet. I mean, really, it's the way you describe it. I haven't read it yet, but the way you described it to me is it's a book that sort of sets it turns it on its head. This modern notion of you should always follow your passion and do work that's exciting and world changing. That's the work that matters. Where maybe you don't have to live in the big coastal high tech city, working for a big fancy company with a big fancy paycheck and all that goes along with it. Maybe it's enough to work for an old family firm in an old Midwestern town, and doing something that's a little more day to day, but has fulfillment in it. That you don't have to be fulfilled by changing the world,
right?
This sort of thing, which is what a lot of young people think that they need to do, or getting a big salary.
Right. And as you might suspect, since it's published by Ignatius Press, the sisters are Catholic, although they're sort of Sunday
nominally.
They're sort of Christmas and Easter Catholics.
Yeah.
But their parents, after they've moved out, have sort of undergone a reversion. And so the question is sort of, what do the sisters now do with that?
Right.
Is it something that they get pulled into? And there's a great character, Jen's friend from college, who she calls and gets together with occasionally, who's this Jewish guy who's kind of, his mom keeps setting him up with nice Jewish girls. And so he kind of leads her into talking about, like, what do you want about, marriage and settling down, and how does faith play a role in that? And she's kind of surprised because, like, he never struck her as a really religious guy, but here he is kind of starting to go to temple every week and being interested in dating Jewish girls. And so there's kind of an interesting way in which their friendship sort of leads her to re-examine some of her own values and things that she sort of had been taking for granted.
Mm.
I really like the dynamic between these two friends and the way they, you know, he kind of challenges her.
It's kind of interesting because Brendan's also writing another book that we know of, which is about World War One.
Yeah, he's been publishing that on a blog too.
So very different sort of book.
Well, and yet they're both very character driven. Like his World War One rather novel is very character driven. He's got a huge cast of characters in that one.
Yeah. It's more of an epic novel.
It's epic. There's like the French couple, and there's a
Belgian, Italian.
There's German and an Austrian and
right.
Oh, it kind of goes all over the place, but it's all on the continent. There's no American or British people.
Right.
Which it's kind of refreshing. Like it's not
so American.
It's not
English, Anglo-centric.
It's not Anglo-centric at all. It's sort of the war from the other perspective.
Interesting. So Brendan's a great guy, and I'm sure his novel is good. I'm looking forward to reading it, and so we'll put a link to that in the show notes, and I'm sure it'll be great. It's sort of interesting that he's not the sort of like he's writing what someone might see as you're not writing a novel about two millennial women, in their lives. You're a Gen X dude, with a family. It's sort of out of the left field. Well, the other interesting thing is this: he's a published author. His sister is also a published author, Rosamund Hodge, which we've talked about.
Yeah, she writes great
fantasy,
like dark fantasy,
swords and magic sorts of stuff. Yeah. So it runs in the family.
And his wife is actually shopping her novel around too.
Right. So you said you've also been watching some things.
Oh yeah. Well, so we talked last week about how Hamilton came out, and when I originally started listening to the soundtrack, I binge watched like all of the interviews, read all the articles I could find about it, because I hadn't actually seen it. I just wanted to get a sense of like what it was like.
Right.
But now
that you've seen it.
Now I've seen it, but also when they released it, of course, all the cast members went on the interview circuit again. But it's the Zoom interview circuit.
Right.
So on YouTube, there's all these great videos of like Lin-Manuel Miranda and Debbie Diggs and Philippa Soo talking about the experience. And they're kind of looking at it from
4 years later.
5 years later.
Well, when they left. When they stopped,
Anyway, so they're looking at it from sort of a distance of this thing that we did as opposed to this thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
With this kind of insights and sharing funny stories about like, when they all forgot which times when they've forgotten lines and that sort of thing. It's been fun.
That's cool.
Oh, not to mention my favorite so far was Bernadette Banner's video about the costume design in Hamilton, which was interesting.
She's a YouTuber who does period clothing, right?
Right. She reconstructs period clothing. She's very millennial YouTuber. I really like her stuff. And so she's looking at it from the perspective of historical costume. But of course, you're not going to do historical costumes for a musical. You can't move the way they do in those clothes.
You're not going to do historically accurate clothing for a musical theater piece, but yet because like you said, they have to be able to move in it and quick changes and all that sort of stuff. So it's sort of adapted, but given that, it's still fairly accurate.
Right. She talked about, she really talks about how like the silhouette is what's key to give you a sense of history. But she also talks about like the particular ways they adapt the costumes and, things that they didn't do, like they didn't do 18th century hairstyles, for example.
Right.
They chose to use their own hair, and very interesting and insightful into the costumes. And she also has a theater costume design background. She worked on other Broadway musicals like Aladdin. So she also has that ability to sort of understand how costumes relate to
in the theater. Yeah.
In the theater, how they add to the whole meaning of the piece.
Cool.
So that's been my gig. I haven't really watched any shows or anything. I've just been
Apparently,
YouTubing.
I've been making up for you. So I finally got around to watching the 2018 Tomb Raider movie. This was the reboot of the Tomb Raider series. Originally, Angelina Jolie was in the role, and they've rebooted it. So
I have seen none of these.
You've seen
I know nothing of them.
So in 2013, they came out with they rebooted the game franchise. So it's a huge billion-dollar game franchise that started back in the 90s, I think it was. And they had like a dozen different games of it. But then they rebooted it. They went back to scratch and they reimagined her origin story and all this other stuff. And so then they made a movie based on the reboot of the game series. I mean, the movie is really based on the game. And it's interesting because this Lara Croft is a bit grittier. Like the Angelina Jolie one she's very Bond-like in the sense of she's completely self-assured, always unflappable, always in command of the situation, that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in this one, she's much rawer, much less like she's implacable. She just doesn't give up. She's not perfect at everything. She's not perfectly made up. And one of the things I found very interesting is there was no romance in it at all. No romantic and no real like sexual content. There's no sense of her as a sexual object like there was with Angelina Jolie's Lara Croft. Like this could have just as easily been Larry Croft, which would have been weird. But in the sense of, I mean, it's still about her and her father, so a father and a daughter. But it was refreshingly free of all of that baggage. Put it that way.
Interesting.
So I liked it. I think people kind of panned it when it first came out. That like it was I kind of liked it for what it was. Maybe it's different for me because I watched it on the TV at home and didn't go out to a theater. I think that sometimes makes a difference in how
sometimes something that you like pretty well on TV, you would kind of not want to have paid theater prices for it, like
exactly.
that.
Yeah, like if I'm going out to the movies, it's a deal. It's a big deal, and I want it to be worth it. And maybe some people didn't think it was worth it. I thought the action was pretty good. I thought it was well paced. I liked it, and they clearly have set this up to be have a sequel and to be several movies. There's a very clear sequel.
It would kind of surprise me if it wasn't.
Right. In fact, they have the it's slated, like it's on IMDb for coming out next year. The Tomb Raider 2.
Who knows if that will happen?
Well, yeah, all of that's up in the air now, but it's on the list. It was starring Alicia Vikander, who was also in. Oh, right, that's where she was in. She was in the movie where she was a robot, with Ex Machina, with Oscar. Donald Gleason and Oscar Isaac. So General Hux and Poe Dameron were in this movie.
Interesting.
Which Oscar Isaac's character is this brilliant, eccentric inventor, programmer. It's like it's near future sort of stuff. And Donald Gleason is an employee, a young programmer, and he's brought in to this guy's basically hermitage. It's like he lives like off the grid, to test how accurate the robot AI played by Alicia Vikander is, and how human it is, and whether it could pass around. It's a very psychological sci-fi thriller sort of thing. But so she did a pretty good job in this as a action hero sort of thing. I think she was believable. So that worked. That worked out well. So that's Tomb Raider. I also watched Greyhound, which was on Apple TV Plus. Tom Hanks, World War II. He's the captain of a destroyer in the U.S. Navy, escorting the ships across the North Atlantic in the midst of the wolf pack of U-boats. And very thrilling, very good. If you want to hear me talk about that with Father Chip Hines, we recorded a Coffee and Cinema episode of Secrets of Movies and TV Shows, sqpn.com/secrets. We talked about it there, and it's on Apple TV Plus, so go definitely check it out. I recommend it. And then I also watched.
You were watching a lot of.
I know this week. I don't know where I had all the extra time, but there was no TV shows on. So Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, which is another we haven't recorded yet, but we're going to do another episode of Secrets of Movies and TV Shows on that. So I hadn't had a chance to watch it yet. So we finally got around to watching that. That was pretty good too. It's like Tomb Raider. It kind of got like, oh, it wasn't as good. Very clearly an homage to the second, like the second trilogy that they're doing is sort of patterned after the first trilogy of Jurassic movies. So the first one takes place in the park. Second one moves to the mainland. I'm curious what they do with the third one, whether they go back to somewhere else. Be curious to see.
I just can't believe that they did more Jurassic. Like, wasn't it done after the first trilogy?
Well,
like,
they're doing something new with it. And
is it like a reboot?
No.
So
someone went back and decided it was a good idea to actually finish building the park.
Like, you would think after all those the disasters, do people in this universe not learn from their mistakes?
Right.
The mistakes of other people?
It is clearly,
I do not understand.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things is, in fact, they bring out in the I don't want to talk too much about this here, but in the extras, they talk about how Michael Crichton's talks about in the book. How about that? Hubris. The hubris of man is if we're given the technology, if we're the opportunity to do a thing, we will do it.
I remember reading the Jurassic Park and the Andromeda Strain when I was a teenager.
Right.
And yeah, it was. I mean, I really liked the book a lot.
In fact, they have in this movie, in the second one, they have Jeff Goldblum back as in just like 2 scenes as Ian Malcolm testifying before Congress, and basically all of his lines are directly picked up from the book, from Michael Crichton's words, warning about this is the problem is as soon as we can do a thing, we do it.
Right.
Whether you just look at nuclear weapons, that sort of thing, whether it's advisable or not, or no matter how self-destructive it is. And this is example of that. And I don't want to give away spoilers, but in the course of the movie, you see the natural progression of that, where if we have this technology, how we would end up using it. So I don't want to go too far with that. So that was good. And then just a couple other things. I watch. I'm watching the second season of Hannah on Amazon Prime, which is about I think I mentioned before, about a girl who is genetically engineered. One of a group of girls genetically engineered by a rogue CIA outfit that is training them to be some like super spies. Super spy assassins, but she was taken out of the program when she was just a baby, raised by a man she considered her father, and then she was brought back into the world and now is interacting with these girls who are like her sisters, so to speak. It's interesting and very very kind of compelling. I like it. It's good. It's really worthwhile. So that's it for me.
Wow, that's it.
That's it. That's all I've done.
Oh yeah.
Well, I've been trying to catch up on.
Did you do anything else this week?
Well, yes, I watched Secrets of Doctor Who. For Secrets of Doctor Who, I watched Star Trek for Secrets of Star Trek. I spend a lot of time like doing. This is what my free time is actually doing stuff like watching stuff for podcasts. I mean, the Greyhound I watched in the afternoon with Father Chip because that was a work thing. So, yeah, I didn't watch. Agents of Shields this week, the most recent episode. I'm just kind of like I'm ready for it to be done. The series, it's kind of run its course, I think. But and this is the last season of that. So, and I didn't, and there's nothing else really new on, So
right.
Anyway, so we don't have much to say about the mass this week. Sunday mass, like the homily was really short. It was really hot in the church. And so
our unair conditioned church.
This was your week to go with the kids, and me to stay home with the ones who couldn't.
Yeah, this week we ran into the first time we had a child not go to mass because I can't find my mask.
Yes, and he only wants to wear his particular mask. He wouldn't. We have extras. We have even a nice Iron Man mask.
We have lots of extras. He's never seen
Darth Vader
Iron
mask.
Man. We need to show them Iron Man.
Yes, that's true.
Anyway, he couldn't find the one he wanted, and I did not have time. I did not have time, and I just said, "I'm going. I'm sorry."
And the poor guy, he collapsed in tears as you drove away. I think he changed his mind at the last minute. I was in the other room. I heard the door open,
I saw the door open. He did not like actually stick his head out or convey anything to me.
I think he was right. I think he was torn. I think he was so torn by wanting to go to Mass and receive communion and not having the Mass he wants.
He couldn't make up a mind. He was a decision lock.
Yeah. And when you left, he just collapsed in tears.
I feel bad.
Well, I mean, you can't, he's like a cat in the door, like he in or out. Like he can't, I mean, I feel bad for him too, but he's got to learn. Like you've got to make a decision. You can't stand on the edge the whole time. You got to stay or go. But it's interesting. I mean, this is where we are. We're at the no mask stage of life.
Right.
And it would be nice if we've heard of other places where they, churches have disposable masks for people who've forgotten theirs to use. But I wouldn't expect our parish to be able to afford to have a lot of that. We have a pretty poor parish.
Maybe we could buy some boxes at the pharmacy and donate them to put at the entrance.
That might be a not bad idea.
Although since everyone who's there has made a reservation ahead of time, I'm guessing that.
But still, people might forget.
Right.
There might be a kid who's like, "Oh, Mom, I don't have my mask." That sort of thing.
Because I've noticed that the pharmacy has started having just big boxes of where you can
Well, everybody's making them now.
Yeah,
I saw Under Armour just advertising them. All the clothing companies are selling them.
Right.
This is the new thing.
Did I tell you I got a free mask when I got my latest Shakti dresses?
Yeah, you mentioned that to me. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's the thing. I mean, this is the new fashion accessory. This is where we're all going to be wearing masks now for Lord knows how long. It's kind of a weird world we're living in now.
It is.
Speaking of weird world, you told me a story today. A friend of yours on Facebook, a friend of ours, relayed a story that someone told her about Mass at their parish.
This, was kind of shocking.
So tell me how it concerns the way they're doing communion at this parish.
Right. So according to this sort of third person who I don't know, their parish has basically a kit for every family that has a missal, masks, and a baggie and a sacred vessel.
What that is undetermined at this point.
Right. And there was a tent outside that had unconsecrated hosts. Yeah. And you went to that
as you're coming in.
As you were coming in, you stopped at the tent and you picked up enough hosts for your family and put them in a plastic baggie. And then when it came time for the consecration, they were supposed to put their unconsecrated hosts into their sacred vessel.
This sounds very Protestant.
And then supposedly these were going to be consecrated by the priest while you're holding them.
So you're supposed to hold up the sacred vessel at the consecration, so he can zap them from the.
This is not. This is not how.
It's not how it works, folks.
This is not how it works. This is not what you're receiving. There is not.
The sacrifice must be on the altar.
What they're receiving is not the Eucharist.
You're just eating bread.
It's just bread.
You're just eating little crackers.
Yeah. So that.
Oh my!
I mean, I hope that somebody got something garbled.
This is third or fourth hand.
Right.
So
I'm hoping that what really happened was that just as is fairly standard in some places, the hosts are being put into a
ciborium.
I've been to churches where you walked in and you put as many hosts as your party was going to receive into a ciborium, and then that was carried up
at the offertory. Yes,
so that they didn't consecrate more hosts than they needed, which I don't really understand. But
a daily mass especially would be the thing. But sure, fine. That's fine. And if they did that would be okay. But there's so many I've heard stories. In fact, what was it in Italy? Cardinal Sarah had to say from the Congregation for Divine Worship that you cannot consecrate the Eucharist in baggies. They were consecrating Eucharist in baggies, in Ziplocs. I mean, no, it's not proper. It is not respectful. It's not sacred. It is profane. So, yeah, this is. We're in weird, strange times. We're all trying to figure it out. I understand.
You have creative problem solving is laudable, but there are things that are not actual illicit solutions to the problem.
Right. Yeah, it's just it kind of sunk into me like this is what we're doing for a while. Like we're not going back to mass, just show up for mass at 8:00 in the morning at in our usual pew, willy nilly like we used to for a long time. Like
right.
Probably not even next year. Like maybe for Christmas 2021.
Maybe.
Like
what's weird to me? But what's weird to me is how absolutely disparate this is across the country. Like my friends in other places are having completely different experiences.
As in, it's like they're back to normal?
Right. Or, I have friends who are not going to mass at all because their parish is not requiring people to wear masks and they don't feel comfortable.
They don't feel safe. And so they haven't gone back to mass. And there's places in California where they're not allowing them to go back to mass. Like they're only allowed to do live stream.
Yeah.
They're not allowing the congregation again.
We are not unified as a country on this.
Well, I mean, subject. It sort of makes sense because where things were like,
right.
If it's bad there, then they need stricter rules, and if it's gotten better here, then they can loosen up a little bit. I mean, I'm glad they're not locking all of us down because they're having high rates of infection in Florida.
This is true.
So, but
it's
weird. It's weird. We're living in a very strange time, folks. Strange world we're living in.
Anyway, yeah. So,
no grand lessons to wrap it up with.
No, just sigh. This is the world.
When I was a kid, life was better.
I mean, what are our kids going to say about this strange time? Like, is this going to...
Bella has talked about that with us. Like, this is something we're going to remember. Like, we're going to tell our kids about when we lived through the pandemic, and it's not going away tomorrow. I hate to say it. I mean, everyone likes to think that we're just going to get through it. We're in this until there's a vaccine, a widely distributed vaccine. We're not going to get past this. It's not, depressing. What a high note to end on. Woohoo!
Yeah, sorry.
So what's coming up this week? We got the yesterday's record. This was the Feast of St. Louis and Zélie Martin.
Yes.
That was really nice. St. Kateri's feast day is coming up on the 14th, which is today as you've downloaded this perhaps. And Our Lady of Mount Carmel, I think, is this week, isn't it?
I think so.
I keep saying things about Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and yes, on Thursday.
Thursday.
And then the Carmelite Martyrs of Compiègne, which is the French Revolution.
Yeah. Beautiful Carmelite nuns who were killed during the Reign of Terror. Interestingly enough, they were among the last people killed during the Reign of Terror, and a lot of people attribute the end of the Reign of Terror to the sacrifice of the Carmelite nuns of Compiègne.
Interesting.
Beautiful, beautiful story about the sisters who went to the scaffold singing.
I want to find out more about them.
There's a little play about them. Song of the Scaffold, I think.
Well, that's your homework for this week, folks. Find out more about the martyrs, the Carmelite Martyrs of Compiègne. Compeigne.
Meanwhile, we're going to clean out our laundry room.
Yes, we'll have a new dryer. Woo! Anyway, let's finish out by taking a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create Raising the Bets and buy a new dryer, including Natasha V, Henry S, Peter V, Joby W, and Eric R. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue Raising the Bets and all the shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So that's it from us. If you have any feedback, if you can tell us what the movie that episode of The Mandalorian was based on, which I still haven't been able to figure it out, let us know by commenting at sqpn.com/bets, that's BETTS, or the SQPN Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, or send an email to bets@sqpn.com. And I'll put links to the books and other movies and things in our show notes at sqpn.com. If you have not yet done so, please subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, your favorite podcast app, or at the SQPN YouTube channel, where you should also hit the bell to get notifications. Until next time, I'm Dom Bettinelli.
And I'm Melanie Bettinelli.
Thank you for listening to Raising the Bets on StarQuest.